Welcome to City Life. Today on the program, we find out why kiwi fruit is better than supplements. We find out where all the money given to the New Zealand Red Cross is going. The Christchurch Wizard is on the program, and we have style with Stephanie Rumble from Flair Image. But first on the program, the colder days are setting in, and it's a better excuse than ever to forget about exercising, right, Bevan?
Yeah, exactly.
Really?
It's always a good excuse to not exercise.
So what should we be doing now with exercise with, you know, the colder mornings?
Well, I think what I wanted to talk about this week was more expanding on kind of what we touched on last time we talked about. And I'm going to be a little bit controversial in what I talk about today, in that we get given these set recommendations and how much we should exercise. So we all know that we should probably be doing around half an hour's exercise 3 to 4 times a week, if not more. And I kind of come from a different frame of thinking, and that with exercise, for the people who are listening to this right now who don't exercise at all, that really what we've got to get you doing is feeling successful with exercise, and that if you're not going to feel successful with exercise, you're not going to do it. And if anything, for people who haven't exercised and have been unsuccessful a lot in their life, it's going to be so hard for them. I'll give an example. So let's say I've tried to do water skiing, and the first time I do water skiing, I can't stand up. I try it for an hour and I can't stand up, so I feel like a bit of a failure. And then I think, oh, bugger it, I'll do it again the next day. And the next day I still can't stand up. And after 3 or 4 days, I still can't stand up. Do you think I'm going to try to water ski? It's going to become harder and harder for me to try. And for people who haven't exercised, what tends to happen is they may have tried it 1 or 2 times throughout their time and have experienced failure with it, because there's been this criteria that they have to exercise. So you have to do half an hour, and they may get out for 20 minutes and try it for 2 days and they fail. So they feel like they can't succeed with exercise. And sometimes if we have these rules around exercise, that if they're in place, they're just going to reinforce the fact that you're a failure. So for me, actually, for people who aren't exercising, the real goal is to create a feeling of success. So, and I believe in the first 3 to 6 months, your aim shouldn't be weight loss, your aim shouldn't be cardiovascular fitness, your aim should just be successful habits with fitness. And so what do you know you can do right now that you will be successful with? And that's a good question to lead with. And that, you know, like when we talked about this last week, you know, what do you know you can do right now with exercise? What did you say last time? Yeah,
this is actually some feedback that I've had, because you said to me, you know, 10, 15 minutes a day, that's good enough. But the feedback I've actually had to the program was, you know, we thought it was 30 minutes a day, 10 minutes, there's not even breaking out a sweat.
Yeah, and so the thing is, so like for you at that time, you were saying, because this is the point, it's where I'm being a little bit controversial with it, is that what you're saying is that, yeah, I know 30 minutes is enough, but you're not doing it, are you? So is 30 minutes good enough if you're not doing it? But whereas if you believe you can do 10 minutes, you're going to start the habit of being successful with exercise. And so it's not so much that I'm necessarily trying to get you an amazing physical result, I'm just trying to get you out the door. And in this early stage, if we go back to my water skiing analogy, if I've tried water skiing 10 times and I've been unsuccessful, well, I'm not going to try it. And for most people who haven't exercised for a long period of time, they just aren't going to try it because they feel like a failure. So in that first period, it's actually not about getting physical results so much. Like, you will get gain. Trust me, if you start exercising, there will be some physical gain. But it's really making you believe that you can have exercise in your life. Another thing I like to think about when we do about this is remove measurement tools that make you feel bad. So, for example, scales. Scales are a really dangerous tool, especially for people who are unsuccessful with exercise, because what happens is, let's say, okay, for 3 weeks we get you just being successful, doing the thing you know you can do today. So for 3 weeks you get out and you do 10 minutes, and after 2 weeks it works into 15, and who knows, maybe in 3 weeks you might be doing half an hour a day. You jump on the scales and you haven't lost any weight. How are you going to feel? Like a failure. And then that takes you back to the point where I'm a failure again, which then creates those, you know, bad eating habits, you know, comfort eating and all those types of things. And so I believe in a first 3 month period, you want to go back to like a star chart for a child. You know, when you're doing nappy?
Really?
Yeah, totally. Go back to like the star chart theory. And it's just, did I get out and exercise today based on what I know I can do today? After 3 to 6 months, after 3 months, you would have learnt the habits of how to be successful with exercise in your life. You would have got out the door, you would have figured out how to pack your bags, you would have figured out how to do that stuff. Then you can start to set some goals around how much you're exercising and intensity of exercising. And you'll find that if you're feeling successful with exercise, you'll tend to just move towards that anyway. So I know that people are going to listen to this and they're going to go, well, 10 minutes a day isn't enough. But it's not really about that. If you haven't exercised for a long period of time and you feel like a failure, you have proof that you are a failure and it's reinforced. So actually, I just want you to feel successful. And in this first period, remove measurement tools that just make you feel... So it starts out, the goal is, what did I get outside today and do some exercise that I know I can do?
Okay.
And, you know, and that's the only goal.
All right, what if someone is just, they are fit, they can, you know, they are fit, but they're just lazy? What would get them out the door? So then
that's a totally different person, because like if I'm talking to the person who's listening to this right now and hasn't exercised for a long time, you know, has no experience. People who are fit have experience of exercise, so often they just need a kick in the butt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like so, like for me, let's say I had a 3-week off period where I hadn't exercised. Now I've had years and years of experience of exercise, so I kind of know what I need to do. I need to find people who I'm going to be exercising with. I'll probably find a friend, maybe go see a trainer, or look to the past for experiences where I have been successful. It's just a bit more about self-motivation, and one of the big things is trying to find a target that is realistic for you right now. So setting some goals. For that person, the person who has exercised and has had experience around it, they kind of know that stuff, and it's more just about looking to when you have been successful and trying to find the triggers from that time and then duplicating that to now. So like if you're having that rough time, okay, well, what did you do in the past that made you successful? Well, you know, I set some goals, I set some good targets, and just bring that back in and just finding some awareness around those decisions. But what I was talking about before, excuse me, was for the person who's not exercising at all, because you feel like a failure. You know, when you feel like a failure, you're going to try? You're not. And so, and so I know that 10 minutes a day is not going to give you the most amazing results, but you're not doing half an hour, so it's better than that. And if I can get you to do that for 3 months, then you will start to find the value of exercise in your life. You'll find intensity, you'll look for a longer duration, and then you'll actually start to set some realistic targets that are going to make you be more successful.
Cool.
So,
now, you've been in Taipei. What have you been doing over there?
So I work for Les Mills, and they're quite a big international company, and so they have fitness conferences all around the world, and I've just been over to Taipei teaching their instructors, really.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which is kind of odd because they can't understand me, so you just kind of, you have translators and stuff. Yeah, but just going over doing that.
And Les Mills is back open?
Yep, so we're open in Riccarton Road now, down the kind of Hagley Park end of Riccarton Road, and we're back up doing classes and stuff. And it's actually really cool because, you know, so if I talk about the person who's not exercising and the person who is, our members tend to be the people who are exercising, and they've kind of made it work over these last 3 months, but now they're getting back into that comfortable place where they know they can come in and really beat themselves up in the workout, which they love. And so it's been really great. And just that community thing, everyone getting back together and seeing each other, so it's been really cool.
Cool. And now you have a podcast as well.
Yeah, actually, if you want to listen to a thing that I'm talking about today, I have a podcast called Fitness Behaviour, and if you go to my website, bevanjameseyles.com, there's a fitness behaviour link there. And I actually do a talk on today's talk which goes for about 40 minutes and actually gives you some tools and some more in-depth stuff, and because I really believe that fitness is not about you have to do 10 reps of this exercise or you have to do this it's more about behaviours. It's about human behaviours, and it's one of those areas of life that's the most challenging areas, you know, but it's also, if you can get it, it's one of the most rewarding. And so I really look at the kind of psychology behind what creates fitness behaviours to be successful. So I have some really good shows on some of those things, and if you want to kind of go into more depths in today's show, check it out.
Cool, will do. Thank you, Bevan.
No worries.
Now, my next guest is Marty from the New Zealand Council of Trade Unions. What exactly is your job?
Well, my job has a couple of elements to it. One is that we've provided a reasonable amount of support to workers who have been displaced or affected in some way as a result of the earthquake. The other element, though, is advocacy around, I guess, workers' rights and entitlements through this period. There's a lot of advisory work, but there's also work with government on such things as what support packages should be available, skills and training, how workers can be involved in the rebuild of Christchurch.
Okay. Now, you said that post-22 February earthquake and with the closure of the red zone, around 55,000 workers' employers received government assistance by way of a wages subsidy. The subsidies have now been cut back and will run out by the end of May. And now the NZCTU predicts that as many as 20,000 people could end up unemployed as a result of the ending of the subsidies. Is this correct?
Yep, that's correct. We think that 20,000 is probably a realistic figure. One of the difficulties is is that none of the agencies have been tracking the effect of the earthquake on the workforce. And so most of the work that's being done is best guess stuff. But we think 20,000 is probably around the right figure.
Okay. So what's this prediction based on, do you think?
Well, the prediction is based on a number of things. There were about 50,000 people getting the subsidy. That means that those people aren't employed in general. We know that there are the unemployment figures, or people receiving the benefit, are still quite low. But really that doesn't take into account the fact that there are around 22,500 workers in Christchurch unemployed right now. So only 6,000 get the benefit. So we've got a significant chunk of unemployed. We know that there are around 35,000 people who have left Christchurch and haven't returned yet. We know that a number of the people that were receiving the support package won't have turned up yet on the statistics. So, you know, they're still getting the support package. They'll end their jobs, or the support will end, and there's a time before they're recorded in the statistics. Okay.
So what's the council proposing?
We've proposed several things to government, and we think they're quite important. Firstly is that we think that the package should remain, and what we've said to government is that should remain at 80% of people's wages pre-earthquake. So while they continue to get that support, then we look at setting up skills and training packages to make sure that those workers are the first able to be employed in the rebuild. And there's going to be a gap between, I guess, now and the rebuild. There's the land remediation stuff to be done. There's obviously no rebuilding yet in the central city. There's only minor building outside. So there are some long-term workforce projections. So we want to make sure that those people are able to transition to that. The other thing about a subsidy is keeping skilled workers here who might not be needed now, but who will be needed for the rebuild. And for example, if you're a joiner, all of your work's collapsed on 22nd of February. We don't want those people to head to Australia for work, because if they head to Australia for work in the interim, they probably won't come back. The other area is that we've argued with government that in fact they should be, and council in particular should be doing this, is setting up things like enhanced task force green projects. And they're things that business might not necessarily get involved in.
Okay. So the government, I mean, the subsidy finishes the end of May. What has the government said that they are going to do after that time? Well,
the government said that they're going to do nothing, in fact, after that time by way of support. If you're eligible for an unemployment benefit, then you'll get a benefit. Until the end of May, you, in fact, got a supplement to that benefit. That's going to run out. So, in fact, again, one of the other points that we've been making is that a number of people who will be unemployed won't be eligible for the unemployment benefit. You know, they might have been a student, part-time worker, their work hours have reduced, they might have a husband or a wife or a partner working, and so there's, you know, around about a quarter of the people who are unemployed are eligible for a benefit. So significant numbers will miss out.
Okay. So what are these people going to do?
Well, I guess it's the $64 million question. Look, one of the interesting statistics that has come to light is that the number of total hours worked in Canterbury has dropped dramatically. And so one of the things that we think is that people are working less. So if you're say, been a 35-hour worker, you might be down to 10 hours, and so you're really subsisting. In a number of cases, you're leaving the district. And again, we've talked about the number of people who have left and aren't back. We know anecdotally of a number of people who are packing up and going to Australia. So, you know.
Okay. So how do you think that we can keep these workers here?
Well, I think what I said before, and it's what we've said to government, is that there needs to be a support package continue. There needs to be as much work going on with workers as is going on with businesses in terms of support for them. There needs to be that skills and training packages and programs to in fact get people into good, useful work. And there needs to be the adoption of those schemes such as Task Force Green. Okay.
How many people are sort of eligible for Task Force Green? How many people would be?
Well, any number, as long as in fact the schemes are set up, and they really have to be set up by councils. And to give you an example, the council have said that they're going to be making probably a couple of hundred people redundant who were working in some of their facilities like Queen Elizabeth or QE2 Park. It just seems to us to be logical that the council could in fact redeploy those people, or at least offer them redeployment into other sorts of work.
Okay. Can people get in touch with you via your website or something like that?
Yeah, sure. The website is www.unions.org.nz.
Okay.
Or they can, my mobile number is 029 774 6776.
I'm sure they all took that, yeah.
Yeah.
So unions.org.nz.
Yeah.
That's great. Marty, thank you so much for your time.
Okay, thank you.
We'll be back after this break. Welcome back to City Life. Now, my next guest says that kiwi fruit is better than supplements. Margreet, how so?
Well, this developed as part of a story that we have been investigating the way vitamin C distributes around your body when you eat it. Lots of people don't eat enough vitamin C, and we were wondering what happens to it when it has to distribute throughout your organs. So when you eat something, it gets into your bloodstream and then it goes to all your different organs and distributes at various concentrations in different places. So your brain has a lot and your liver doesn't have so much. Your muscles have very little. And what we found was that if you didn't eat enough, then some of your organs are actually depleted, completely deplete. So your brain might be okay, but your muscles and heart probably won't be. And then we asked ourselves the question, which many people ask, is it better to get your vitamin C from a fresh food, or can you just go to the supermarket and buy a bottle of supplements and take that? And so using an animal model, we investigated the difference between a really good source of vitamin C, which is kiwi fruit, and a purified supplement. And we kind of expected it to come out the same, but actually the kiwi fruit was 5 times better than the purified vitamin C, which is really surprising.
Gosh. So kiwi fruit is better than the orange?
Well, we haven't tried oranges.
Okay.
We don't know whether this is particular to all food or whether there's something particularly in the kiwi fruit that is enabling the body to take up vitamin C better and to retain it better. That's something that we still are interested to find out. We've only looked at kiwi fruit,
right.
But it is... the reason we did that was because it is such a really good source of vitamin C. But other things like oranges may have the same effect.
Okay. So when you say kiwi fruit are better than supplements, how many kiwi fruit? Just one kiwi fruit a day?
Well, for a person, one kiwi fruit contains all the vitamin C you need for the day. Now, that's really unusual in a food source, that you'd eat one thing that gave you all the vitamin C you needed. Apples, for example, you'd need to eat about 8 apples to get the same amount of vitamin C. And other fruits varying. Red peppers, for example, are really high in vitamin C, and you'd probably need a quarter of a red pepper, but not many people eat red peppers all the time. So kiwi fruit, 1 a day will do everything for you.
Why did you study this?
Well, for the reason that I alluded to before. We're interested in how does vitamin C get around your body with the knowledge that we need it everywhere. And we know that when you take it into your bloodstream, or when you eat it, it goes into your bloodstream, and then it distributes itself around the body, and some organs take it up better than others. What we know now is that it's really important that it's everywhere. So it was thought for a long time that for many tissues it didn't matter very much, but we know now that it's really important that it's everywhere, and so we're trying to find out how good is that and how much vitamin C do you need in your blood in order to get it everywhere in your body, because many people think that all we need vitamin C for is to avoid us getting scurvy. well, there's a big difference between getting scurvy, which is a devastating disease that will kill you, and being healthy. And we're interested in what does it take to have a healthy level of vitamin C rather than how little do you need to stop you getting scurvy.
Were these findings surprising?
Yeah, it was surprising, yeah. We were very surprised because, well, personally, I had thought, I think vitamin C is so easy to absorb that something like a tablet or a supplement would be fine. And I thought it wouldn't matter, really, whether you had the food or the supplement. A long time ago, in the 1930s and 40s, there was a suggestion that food was better, and people have often wondered and argued about it. But there hasn't been a really good way of measuring that, because with people you can only measure the blood levels of vitamin C. But with our animal model, we were able to sample different organs as well, so we get a better picture of the whole body picture.
Now, these findings have just been recently published in a well-known magazine, right?
That's right, yeah. We published it in probably the top, well, it is the top nutrition journal in the world, the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. And it's wonderful to get it in there because normally they don't publish work like this. They'll only publish it if it's really relevant to the human condition. And they were very interested in the difference between food and the supplement, because this is a question that people are asking a lot and no one really has any answer to. So,
were you surprised that this kind of research hadn't been done before?
It is surprising because we think we know everything about vitamin C. And many people will say that they do, but when you go and look at the evidence and what we actually know, the difference between myth and fact is there's quite a gulf there, and we're trying to base our statements on scientific analysis and fact finding rather than what we believe.
Okay, so one kiwi fruit a day.
One kiwi fruit a day is good. More is not going to be a problem.
Okay.
Green and gold are equally good. Gold has a little more vitamin C, but there seems to be very bioavailable from each.
Thank you so much for coming on the program today.
You're welcome.
After the break, we talk World Smoke Free Day with the Canterbury District Health Board. Welcome back. Today is World Smoke Free Day. Ange, tell me what it's all about.
Well, World Smoke Free Day was put out by the World Health Organisation many years ago, and it's just an opportunity to celebrate smoke-free lifestyles and give people a bit of motivation to perhaps try quitting.
So how does it work here in New Zealand?
Here in New Zealand we have the Health Sponsorship Council, muddling my words, and they put out a theme for the year, and this year the theme is Give Quitting a Go. And so they put out lots of resources and do some advertising campaigns, and then locally you can pick up and anyone can celebrate World Smoke Free Day.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So the key message is about quitting.
Yes.
So where do people go if they want help to quit smoking?
We have a few options around. So there's the Quit line. Most people would have seen advertising on the TV around that. So they support through internet and by phone. We have through your GP practices. Most GP practices have quit card providers, so they'll give you a quit card and then you can exchange that for the patch, nicotine patch. And then we've Smoke Change to support our pregnant women in our community. That's specialised service for the Canterbury pregnant woman.
Okay.
And then of course in community and public health we've got the Okati Kaipaipa Quit Smoking service. So it specialises for Marty women in their whānau. Unfortunately, Māori women have the highest smoking stats, so that's why we've got a program there to meet those needs. And those coaches are really awesome because they work with us.
Oh, they
no,
work
I'm
with
not
you.
one, but I work with them.
Okay. So what do you think is the best way to quit?
Well, it's different for everybody. I'm not a quit expert myself, but the research that they've brought out recently is around nicotine replacement therapy will double your chances of quitting. But because people are motivated by different things, it's really quite an individual thing. But our quick coaches can help you work out what's best way for you.
Okay. So what's going on in Canterbury today as part of World Smoke Free Day?
Well, we had lots of big plans, but unfortunately the earthquake has sort of put some of those on hold. Okay. We've been working with Christchurch City Council around the smoke-free parks and playgrounds, so there were some plans to have that celebrated. And of course a lot of our schools work has gone on hold. Karanga Mai have carried on though. They're running a promotion where you can win some points, and so you can, if you wear your house colours, support someone to quit smoking or even make a quit attempt yourself. You get points, and then the winner wins a prize pack. Down in Ashburton, we're not so affected by the earthquake. The District Council have extended their parks and playgrounds policy to include the skate park in Ashburton. And it's just on the main street there. Okay. And it's got all this graffiti art around it. It looks really cool, but it's been around for a few years now, so they're redoing all the graffiti art, and they'll include some smoke-free logos there. So on Saturday they'll be doing a live graffiti demo, and they've got the Cheapskates skate team going around all the schools this week doing demos, and then on Saturday morning there'll be like a big skate and graffiti demo, and hopefully all the kids will come down and hang out. So, yeah. Cool.
Okay, let's look at some other ways. Let's go back and look at the ways that we can quit again. So we can call Quit Line?
Yes, there's the Quit Line, Okati Kaupaipa, which is 0800 Okati. There's Smoke Change. If you're pregnant, you could ask your midwife for support as well. And if you're at your GP practice, you can ask your practice nurse or GP practice. They'll be able to point you in the right direction.
Great. Ange, thank you so much for coming on the program.
No problem.
And sharing us more about World Smoke Free Day. Today.
A
great day to quit.
It is a great day.
Yeah.
Have a go.
Yeah. All right. After the break, we catch up with Michael from St Vincent de Paul. Welcome back, and welcome back to the program, Michael Gousmett.
Good morning, Kanita. Nice to see you.
How are you?
Good, thank you very much.
How's St Vincent de Paul?
Well, we're holding up very well, thanks very much. We've made a good recovery from the earthquake. We're starting to see more of our clients back again, and more people starting to come along to our shop, so things are starting to slowly pick up. And I think it's pretty much that people are looking for that sense of normality and feeling that things are starting to get better, in spite of the fact we're still having the odd aftershock here and there as well.
You had a couple of your stores still closed last time you were on the program. Stanmore Road, I think you're still repairing things there. How's Stanmore Road going?
Yes, we had major liquefaction right through the Stanmore Road shop from one end to the other as well as outside. But we've managed to get that up and running again. We've got a fair bit of work to tidy up the shop to get it back to what it was before the earthquake, of course. But in terms of major damage, we're right down the list, and we're just quietly getting on with it. And the engineers will be in sometime shortly, they told me, and then we'll get the insurance claims underway, and before we know it, we'll have things up and running again.
So the store isn't open just yet?
Yes, it is open.
Oh, it is open?
Yes. So we're just working around that at the moment.
Okay. What about your other stores? How are they?
Well, our Papanui one, of course, was fine,
yep.
But the one in Ferry Road had liquefaction as well, but not as bad as Stanmore Road, so that's been up and running pretty much from the start as well.
All right. What's the focus at the moment for St Vincent de Paul in terms of coming into winter?
Well, we've been thinking, in fact, back in January we were starting to think about what the effect was going to be on people with, we knew at that stage there was something like 10,000 homes that lost their chimneys, so therefore their heating systems, and we were starting to put our minds to how we might use some of the funds that were starting to come into the society from around the world and around New Zealand. And one of the projects that we came up with was thermal underwear. Now, we were trying to find something very practical, very straightforward, and so I've been working with WEF Knitting Company here in Christchurch, and they're manufacturing. In fact, this week I should have the first production run. And for distribution, we're working with Nurse Maud, and they're going to have their community nurses out there, and when they identify people whose health is being affected by cold homes, then we've got stocks of thermal underwear which we can supply for adults and children as well. And we'll also have people coming into our store, our welfare staff, again, if they're identifying people that might benefit, then we've got that. So again, a simple, straightforward project which we think might make a bit of a difference to people's lives.
Great. How else are you preparing for winter?
Well, the other project we've started is through our society members around New Zealand. A very simple one again, and that's a blanket appeal. So Main Freight have been very obliging in assisting with reduced freight costs, or in fact donating their freight. And so we've got blankets pouring into our office and warehouse at Stanmore Road. Good. So again, if people are out there and they're feeling the cold, then come and see us and we can help.
So what about the stocks of blankets and, things like that? Can people bring those in to the store?
Yes, most certainly. So if people are having a clean-up at home and they have good clean blankets that they think would benefit other people, then we'd certainly love to see them down at Stanmore Road.
Good. Hot water bottles?
Yes, we're doing that as well.
Yeah.
Again, as one of my staff said, well, what about hotties?
Yeah.
So we're just starting to work on that at this stage and get a good supply of hot water bottles. So once again, we're looking at good, simple Kiwi projects that will make a difference to people's lives.
And knitted bed socks and
Yes,
rugs.
and we have those as well. There are people setting knitted bed socks and rugs from around the country. Beautiful textile rugs that we've been receiving and giving out as well.
Great. So this winter you're pretty well stocked, aren't you?
Well, we're getting stocked. It's
Yeah.
starting to happen after this morning, chipping the ice off the windscreen in Rangiora this morning. Winter's certainly here.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? So what if people who would, benefit from this thermal underwear? Can they come and chat with you about that?
Yeah, certainly. If they
Nominate
ask the people to come and to see us at our office in Stanmore Road, talk to the welfare staff, and we can assist from there.
Okay, so we've got thermal underwear, the nationwide blanket appeal, and people can bring those blankets into any St Vincent de Paul
Any of
store?
our shops here in Christchurch would be fine. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Yes.
And knitted bed socks and rugs, and of course hot water bottles.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. That's good. Michael, thank you so much for coming on the program. And again, where are your stores?
So we've got our 3 stores, the main one in Stanmore Road in Richmond, and then down in Woolston at Ferry Road, and then over in Papanui and Langdons Road.
That's great. Thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you very much indeed.
Now I'd like to welcome John Hansen. Now tell me about your involvement with Christchurch post-earthquake, or both the quakes really.
I was invited to chair the Red Cross Earthquake Commissions. What happens is Red Cross put in place a disaster fund, as they did for the first and the second earthquake, and then they appoint an independent commission who determines how that money will be spent for the benefit of those affected by the earthquakes. On the 2011, following the February disaster, we have Leanne Dalzell and Nicky Wagner, the 2 major party MPs in Christchurch, Michael McKevity representing Selwyn, the Deputy Mayor Nairi Button representing the Christchurch City Council, and Roger Blair, a councillor from the Waimakariri District Council, plus 2 from Red Cross. Okay. So I chair that, and we have Red Cross staff working for us, giving us information to allow us to make grants and also processing all of those grants.
Okay, let's look at the funds that have come in. The funds that came in for the September quake, are they separate to the funds that came in for the February quake, or are they together? Yeah.
No, they are separate.
Okay.
The situation with the September fund is that there is an amount that we need to ring fence for about 2,000 people in Waimakariri and Selwyn who we had already said were eligible to relocation grants. Now, these are the people that are going to move out of their homes and have to stay out of their homes while the land is repaired or remediated or some other technical term that the experts use. So that money, we're just ascertaining the numbers, and it looks like from the September fund, after we allow for that, there will be about 5 million left, which will be transferred into the new fund. Okay. But those people, even though some of them in Waimak, I know, for example, won't be actually moving out and having this done for a couple of years, they can rest assured that that money is ring-fenced and put aside for them.
Good. How much was in that fund? I mean, you say there's 5 million possibly left. How much was in that fund?
That fund was about 24 million to start with. The second fund, we're now well over 60 million. We paid out about 42 to 44 million on the emergency grant, which was the one for people who were without water, power or sewage or had to move out of their houses because of damage for 7 days or more. We've paid out on about 148 of the bereavement grants, which was $10,000 per family, and as the additional information comes through from the coronial inquiries that are going on at the moment, they will also be processed. So we know now pretty much for sure there'll be 191 of those.
How, going back to February's quake, how could they apply for a grant to begin with?
Well, the Commission met within a week of the earthquake and put in place criteria, which I just mentioned before. The Red Cross administration then put together a form which was available online or physically, and that was made available through a lot of the processing centres around the city, the emergency shelters, all of those sorts of places. It's fair to say that the numbers involved were staggering. And at one stage in the processing centre, we had over 50 people working 12-hour shifts processing those. So the total number was around, I think we had over 50,000 applications for that grant, and we've paid out about $44 million on those, which is a staggering sum.
Where has the money come from? Is it just from people in New Zealand, or is it people all over the world giving money to New Zealand Red Cross?
No, the bulk of it has come from New Zealand, and money's still drifting in. It's slowed down rather obviously, and the overseas money took a big hit after the tragedy in Japan, which was even greater than ours. But there's a lot of money given by the Australian government. There's money come from Red Cross appeals that were put together in the United States, in the United Kingdom, in Canada, in Australia. And a lot of the fundraising efforts we see on the news, and that money comes to Red Cross. For example, I have a friend from university days in Toronto who runs a bar and restaurant. They had a big day and raised 90,000 Canadian. So that sort of thing is still happening and still going on. And then there was money from the classic All Blacks Wallabies game in Brisbane, from the Crusaders game at Twickenham, things like that. So people have been astonishingly generous.
Were you surprised about how much money was given from overseas and around New Zealand? Was it a surprise to you?
It was, to be honest.
Yeah.
I thought we did pretty well first time round. That was a fairly staggering sum. But the extent of this tragedy and the loss of lives touched people, and New Zealanders are very generous people, and they've proved this.
Going back to September's quake, when will they all be finished? When can you hand that money over to the February quake?
That will be very soon.
Okay.
We're just finalising the numbers with Selwyn and Waimakariri at the moment. And once we know that, we will set aside the money that's required for that, and then that money will be paid over. So that will be paid over within the next week or 10 days, I should imagine.
Okay. Was this the biggest disaster in New Zealand that New Zealand Red Cross has worked with?
By a long, long way.
Yeah.
Before the September earthquake, I think the biggest one were the floods in the Wairarapa, and I think that might have been 6 or 7 million. I wasn't involved, so I don't know the exact figures. So the September one was far, far greater, with the 24 million that came in then. But this time, I think it's the biggest in New Zealand history by a long, long, long way.
Okay. And people still can donate to the New Zealand Red Cross?
They can, yes.
They can, yeah. All right, John, thank you so much for coming on the programme. It's really good to actually find out where the money is going, so thank you for coming and sharing that with us. After the break, we have the Christchurch Wizard. You're back with City Life, and I'd like to welcome the Wizard of New Zealand and, of course, Christchurch's Wizard. Welcome to City Life.
Thank you. It's my first appearance on City Life. Yes.
It's really good to see you. I must say, I haven't seen you around for a while.
I've been here all the time, and although it's believed I'm not living here, I do live here, actually, and I've got a house here, a very nice place on Avonside, which survived, I'm very pleased to say, in good condition. But I go down to Oamaru, where my friends are, and a lot of artists, and it's a beautiful place, and I love spending the summer there, but I'm here for the summer season, for the square, and I just get up a weekend. So I am living in Christchurch, and always have been, and I've been in the square every summer, right through the summer, from 1974 until the present. It's a very long time.
Because that was the rumour, that you had headed off to Oamaru. Yeah, so you are here.
Yeah, the tourists know I'm here, but the locals don't. It's very strange that actually the tourists turn up, but the locals say, "Thought you were in Oamaru." No, I'm still in Christchurch, but I'm seen down there, of course, and they're very thrilled to have me living there, of course.
Of course, yeah. Well, you are the Wizard of New Zealand, after all.
Yes, yes. It's like the Archbishop of Canterbury. He has a residence in Canterbury, but he's still the general top priest in the UK, and I'm the top wizard in New Zealand. Even if there aren't any official other ones yet. I just wish there were more around.
Yeah, right. Now, when I think of you, I think of your home base being Cathedral Square.
Well, yeah, as a living work of art, and that is what the art galleries recognise me as. I'm the only person in the world to have this recognition from art galleries. I have to regard all of life as a performance. And this is what Shakespeare was more or less saying. We're all acting out certain parts. And instead of just taking the part given to me by the people, I decided to write my own script and have my own part, and that requires an environment, a setting. And eventually I settled upon Cathedral Square in 1974. It is just the right place for my sort of character, which is essentially Gothic, which means hairy, a bit wild, not neat and short-haired, and not square and boxy and clean and light and airy, but spooky and weird and odd. A bit like Gotham City, you know.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought Christchurch was the perfect Gothic city. It was perfect for me. Everything, lovely old bit at the Provincial Council Chambers and the cathedral and the wonderful arts centre. Oh, it's just a beautiful place, Christchurch.
Yeah. But now you've lost a little bit of your backdrop, and of course
I don't know what's going to happen next. Is what they're going to do, because I've seen since 1950s, when it got worse, a series of large boxes have been dropped from the sky onto Christchurch with no recognition of where they're going to go or end up. Gigantic, hideous things, all angles and all clean and neat and bright and shiny and ugly as hideous. So it's gradually being destroyed by these giant boxes. But a lot of these boxes are coming down, apparently, because they're so unsafe, and no one likes them anyway. And no ordinary people I know in the shops or on the street or next door neighbours like modern buildings. They don't like them at all. But the architects do, and the developers do, and the governments do. Multinationals like them, but ordinary folks don't like them at all. But I'm wondered if in the rebuild it's just going to be a repeat of the same old crap, same old rubbish, same old boxes, or whether there really is a thought about what I call the soul of Christchurch. And that's what I go to these meetings to discuss the future of Christchurch. No one mentions how it will look, what sort of soul it will have, how it will feel. And if you do build lots of nice little boxes, they could be lower boxes, they even could be wooden boxes, but there'll still be acres of plain glass, sliding ranch sliders. I can just see it now. There's millions of them all over the world, but if we went as we did originally in the 1850s, when the people who built Christchurch were radicals, they were actually rebelling against the classical tradition of columns and giant banks and huge temples of Roman. They wanted something that was more medieval, more organic, with the carvings of angels and demons and animals and plants and curls and twists. And it went on as far as the Port Hills when Seeger designed the various signs. There was also, of course, the great 1860s, 1870s period when they had this lovely Gothic arches. Then it went back to classical again, and then it went modern. There is still arts and crafts, which is a branch of Gothic. And there's also the Art Nouveau, that lovely stuff in Barcelona and all those twisty things. There's also Gothic. But that's what I'd like to see. But no one's discussing the actual built appearance of Christchurch at this stage.
And this is something you're working on
So
at the moment.
I've got a little tiny website called Save Our Soul, and I'm trying to be interested in how it'll look. And if you were a tourist, you'd want to see something that was different. And if we rebuilt in this style, I know we can't do for all the buildings, or we could recognise that maybe the boxes aren't the only shape in the world. We could have a few arches and a few curves, that we could actually attract tourists to see the rebuild itself, the stained glass being made, the mullioned windows, the beams, the new wooden structures that could be built. It'd be really interesting, but no one seems to be interested at this stage.
OK, so saveoursoul.co.nz?
Yeah, that's just Save Our Soul. But, I mean, I'm on the internet all over the place anyway as Wizard NZ, so no problem finding me there.
Check you out there. So what else are you doing around Christchurch at the moment? Are you going out there and talking to people?
I've just come back from opening a rather unusual ablutions block at a caravan site in Queenstown.
OK.
These people have a very strange idea of what they should build, and they've been using boilers and taps and odds and ends and trompe-l'oeil effects, just built an oast house, and they've used bits of an old building that was around in Queenstown to make it all up, and I had to declare it officially open, as I've done many things down there. Yeah. The whole place is fascinating. And a few months ago I was in Beijing at a film festival, and they were showing films.
Hence your outfit,
my outfit. Yes, a bit of bright
it.
day. Yeah. Makes a change from the gloomy black Gothic stuff, doesn't it? Yeah. So I went to the Beijing for the film festival, and the short film made about me by a friend years ago, and finally finished, won the prize for the best short documentary film.
Congratulations!
So I'm becoming better known outside these hallowed walls of Christchurch.
But you're ours, though. You can't leave us.
Oh, yeah, but I'm prepared to appear in the media,
films.
and I'm prepared to go overseas, as I used to in the 70s and 80s, to promote New Zealand.
Good.
I think it's about time that someone started using something different to promote New Zealand. It's all about bungee jumping and things for young people and adventure tourism and green stuff. Nothing about aesthetics, nothing about that New Zealanders aren't just crude, vulgar farmers who are not bungee jumpers, but actually have some soul and some character. And there's no one more peculiar and unique in the world than me, as far as I know. I've looked all over the internet. I can't find anybody else. I think I seem to come out really weird. And that's because I'm so thoroughly part of this tradition, the Gothic tradition.
It's so good to see you. So it's good to see you in Christchurch. And it's good to know you haven't left us for down
I'd love to know how I'm going to speak, though. If anyone's got any ideas out there, please let me know, because my stage is gone. Where do I perform? And where can I be that would be attractive, a nice Gothic-y sort of romantic area that is where tourists will go and locals can just go? I don't know.
Well, they need to let you know, or maybe let me know, and I'll pass it on to you.
I'd love to know.
Well, it's good to see you. Finally on the programme, Stephanie Rumble from Flair Image. Welcome. Today we're talking about work clothes.
We are, because I think sometimes we have different clothes for work and clothes for at home. So I'm just talking a bit about how you can be a bit interesting and creative at work rather than slipping into the black suit, white shirt conundrum that many people find themselves in, or blue shirt and blue tie and dark charcoal suit for a guy.
Yeah. So what should we be considering when we're thinking about our work clothes?
Okay, so you've got to think a little bit about modesty. So you don't want to see too much knee or too much chest.
Okay.
And if you're a bloke who has a bit of chest hair, you probably want to make sure that that's covered up as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. So how would they cover those things up?
Okay, so for a woman, a skirt just above the knee or just below the knee is appropriate, and obviously not too low cut for the tops.
Okay.
And a good bra is really important too. You know, having a lacy see-through number under a fitted top is a bit distracting if you're trying to get your point across in a meeting.
Yeah, exactly.
Might be a different point that you're getting across.
Let's just think of like some key pieces of clothes that we
Absolutely.
can get.
So for a woman, the key pieces, probably black trousers. I've got a nice black pair hanging over the back there. A black skirt as well is quite key. And then some structure, so perhaps a couple of jackets and a shirt, some tops as well. For a man, probably one suit if you're in a corporate job, a sports jacket, 2 or 3 pairs of trousers and some shirts as well.
Just from a personal point of view, should we care about wearing, the same thing, twice in a week or twice in a fortnight or anything like that?
I don't think that's too much of a problem. I think your basic pieces you can wear all the time. So, for example, maybe black trousers or a black skirt or something like that. There's no problem with wearing those all the time, but it's changing the top half.
Okay.
People tend to look at your face. Yeah.
So, how can we find out more about what to wear to work in Christchurch?
Okay, so couple of ways. I'm running an event on the 24th of June called the Corporate Style Club.
Okay.
Fantastic event being held at Elevate, and we're going to focus on corporate style in a funky, interesting way.
Okay.
Not just sort of the staid way. Also show you what's appropriate, show you what's around, because there's lots of retailers out there that do have corporate wear. A lot more coming back into the market as well now as things start to become repaired and business picks up again.
So the Corporate Style Club, where can we find out more about this?
Okay, so check out the Corporate Style Club on my website, so flairimage.co.nz. You can click the link there. Also check it out on Facebook. We have our own Facebook page, so please like us.
I know, I do like you.
You do like us, which is great. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
So anybody can go along to the Corporate Style Club?
Absolutely. So at $65 a ticket, you get nibbles, you get some wine, some great voucher deals, and also an opportunity to see some nice men's and women's fashion, have some style tips. I'm going to do a bit of a talk about style, some corporate style tips, and nice live music. Really nice night out, 5:30 to 7:30, so you can get home and watch the rugby if you need to.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of... So whereabouts is it again?
Elevate Bar up in Cashmere.
Okay, and that's your blog this week as well?
Yes, have a look at the blog. We're talking about corporate clothing.
Okay.
So as I said, I've got a selection of things here. Andrea Moore, nice skirt here, World, Max. And I just brought along a pair of shoes as well, sort of a nice standard pair of corporate shoes as well, because they can be interesting, but not too out there. Okay,
cool. Now, last time on the programme we spoke about colour, so I've got to thank you for encouraging me to wear colour. I actually had someone come up to me in the mall last weekend said to me, it's so good to see you wearing blue. And so they had seen that segment on CDHB. So that's great.
Oh, great. It's such a pleasure to work with you. You're so gorgeous.
Oh, Stephanie. Well, thank you so much for coming on the programme. That is City Life for today. Thank you so much to the people who have gone to the draw for the book, Horncastle's Suitcase, and, of course, the theatre tickets. Congratulations to Lynette Smith, who won Horncastle's Suitcase. We do have some tickets still to give away for The Importance of Being Earnest and for Vegas with the Canterbury Celebration Theatre. Please get your, please put your, what do you call it, your email, whoops, your email in today because we are making that draw. Send it to me, canetta@ctv.co.nz, or you can give us a call, 3777 033, or of course you can write to us, PO Box 1100 Christchurch. Thanks for watching and I'll see you tomorrow.